Hey sisters, shocking news, hold the phone, the mind and body are connected. Okay, so we all kind of knew this. It's not particularly new news. So how you use your mind will affect how your body responds to things. Everyone knows that when you're feeling negative, you're feeling a bit trapped, your energy levels drop and you feel physically weaker. Your ability to do things is reduced, your attention span is reduced, etc. So most of us are aware that thinking negatively can affect our bodies so that they become more vulnerable to disease, more vulnerable to infection, for example. Okay, so your bad memories will actually get you stressed, and wonderful things, on the other hand, will produce endorphins. So that's how your mind affects your body. Now, how we think also changes and affects our physiology. So we all know that we are happy when we smile, and when we are smile, guess what? We are happy. The simple act of smiling can make you feel better. And we all know that exercise can lift our mood. So how we use our bodies actually has an enormous effect on our minds. When we hear the term body language, most of us tend to think about reading other people's thoughts and feelings. It's a way to use their posture and their facial expressions to get an inside track on how they're thinking and feeling. The idea that other people's body language shows off how they're feeling and what they're thinking is actually pretty uncontroversial. But very few of us think it through to its conclusion. The position of your body, your facial expression, how you tilt your head can also influence the mind. And here it is. If you're feeling happy and confident, your body and face will reflect it. There we go, happy and confident. But if you act and look happy and confident, your mind will respond and you'll come to feel happy and confident. So I'll say that again. If you look and feel as if you're happy and confident, your mind will actually be tricked and you'll become to feel happy and confident. If you smile, the body actually thinks, the brain chemistry, which we'll go into a little bit later, talks about the fact that it thinks there's humour. So, when you see something funny, your face lifts and therefore you respond with laughter. And therefore, if you lift your face, your body actually thinks something good, something funny is going on. So the two are connected. You feel happy and confident. Guess what? You are happy and confident. So am I saying that if you act as Superwoman, guess what? You'll be Superwoman? Let me think. Yep, that's what I'm saying. Our language actually talks about the mind-body connection, the English language that is. You will hear people say of a losing sports team, oh look, their heads have dropped. So the words, the mind-body connection we're actually describing is in the language. If someone's not feeling that great, you tell them to keep their chin up. And one that's in popular use right now is don't let your head drop, princess, or the crown will slip. Now, if anything describes the mind-body connection any better than that, you let me know. So mind-body connection is truly there, and the things that happen with your body will truly affect your mind and how you feel about things. It's all very well knowing that the mind and body are connected, but how are we going to use this together to make ourselves feel stronger and more powerful and overcome social fears such as fear of rejection, fear of public speaking, fear of all sorts of things? Okay, well, science has actually studied body language in a huge amount of detail, and if you want more information on body language generally or the body language for leaders, there is a video in this series. But moving on, scientists love to study people. They also love to study wasps. There's a guy who had to be paid to study wasps because no one studies wasps apparently. I digress. So scientists have been studying body language for a very long time indeed, and the science proves all sorts of things. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about, you will probably have heard before, but I'm going to say to you, pose for power. Let's call it the pose for power section. So if you are powerful, if you are dominant, and historically if you are male, because you have a slight advantage with that, you are taller, generally bigger, then you will take up much more space. And taking up more space indicates power, strength, and confidence. So we women need to wear our highest heels heels as long as our back and knees will stand it to make ourselves much taller. Now, I'm not suggesting you pad your outfit to make yourself look much bigger, but there are things that we can do that are good to go. So the first thing is, we demonstrated it just a few moments ago, stand with your feet slightly apart, shoulder width apart. Bobbing up and down on your toes, not good, and I would probably, just me, avoid that because that doesn't look great, other than in photos with the man in your life or at a wedding or a party. So, pose for power. Let's get our feet firmly apart. Let's get those shoulders back. That's increasing our body space and how much space we're taking up in the room. Now, again, how we present ourselves, hugely important. A little thing like putting your shoulders back and down will make you look much more powerful because you're directly facing the audience or the people who you're engaging with. So shoulders back and down, and take a deep breath. Now, what we want to do is we want to indicate that we are confident and that we are strong. So by putting your hands on your hips, there we go. That takes up much more space, and it takes up much more room, and it's going to indicate you're feeling much more confident. Now, I would suggest you pop your fingers forwards. If you do that, it looks like you're holding your back up, ladies. Okay. Now, why are we doing all of this? We're doing all of this because, as we've just discovered, your posture, how you stand, how you move, will actually send all of those signals to the brain, and they will actually make you feel more confident. So you'll actually be in a really positive loop. Not only will you appear more confident to your audience, your colleagues, your friends, guess what? The body will tell the mind that you are actually confident, and round we go again in a really good way. The other thing is, you'll actually communicate better because your shoulders are back and down, and it gives you opportunity to breathe. And breathing happens to be a good thing. You'll get great oxygen flow. Again, that's really going to help the body, and it's going to help with your thought processes, and it's going to help with your confidence. So, pose for power, silly title, I know, but let's make sure that we have as much space that we can take up in any given situation as possible. Now, obviously, standing this way in every meeting, in every interaction, when you meet your friends in the street, might look a little strange, but I'm going to go for the Wonder Woman pose because that's just me. But if you are getting a little bit tired and you're feeling a little bit stupid, you can obviously, go with the one hand on the hip. I'm now dancing, which is still very powerful. You're still taking up a huge amount of space, which is great. Your shoulders are still back, which means you can still breathe, get that oxygen into your body, but it's going to work just the same way, and it's perhaps a different way of communicating. So, pose for power. Think about what works best for you. Maybe stand in front of a mirror and get comfortable with yourself and how you look and how you feel doing this. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. It's got to work for you because obviously that's what we need to do. So there we go. Feet, shoulders, breathing, all good. That's a really good way to go. It's going to feel a bit strange, okay? It's going to feel a bit weird. I'm asking you to do strange shit, basically. Particularly if you are not a confident person. And that's probably why we're chatting now anyway, isn't it? But after it's felt strange, a bit weird for a while, trust me when I tell you it's going to feel much better. And the more you do it, the better it's going to feel, and the better it feels, the more you'll want to do it. Think about other things in your life that were a bit strange to start with, and then suddenly, actually, do you know what? You can do this. So you got this. So, pose for power. So how's your willpower, ladies? I know mine ebbs and flows. So scientists and psychologists studying us yet again. Feeling like a lab rat, are we? Absolutely. So it turns out that if we need to exhibit willpower, or we automatically exhibit willpower, okay, we tense our bodies, our muscles become tense. So think about the fact you're going to have an injection, for example, or you're feeling a little bit of pain, maybe you've got a headache, the body will tense up. Interesting, isn't it? It turns out that if we tense, then we can actually do things along the lines of resisting food. So I should be tensing my body all day. Or you're more likely to take horrible medicine, that spoon around, you're like, but you do it anyway. Or if you're going to do, if you've been getting some disturbing information, being tense, those are all natural situations where automatically we tense our body, and that's what the psychologists found out. We are more resistant to pain, and we can take disturbing information if we tense our body. It's that anticipation, I suppose. Now, the reverse is obviously also true. If you're in a situation where you need to exhibit a huge amount of willpower, or you've just got to crack on and get through it, or there is something that you have to get through, by simply tensing your body, you will more likely exhibit willpower and have slightly more willpower. Now, I'm not suggesting you should go around the whole day like the Incredible Hulk, but maybe if you're going into a meeting, a presentation, or you've got a huge proposal to do, then actually do a bit of, I'll get through this, body tensing might help out. So yeah, if you've got a willpower issue, you've got to get through something, then a little bit of body tensing is probably going to do it the world of good. So I thought that was an interesting fact, and I think that is something that we can apply without anybody noticing, and it will certainly help our willpower. So I suggest that you give it a go. Oh, just a thought. You may or may not know who Bruce Lee is. Kung Fu film artist, look him up. Now, he had an amazing physique. He was very lean and very muscular. And most of his workout regime, most of his exercises were isometric exercises rather than pumping iron. So, obviously pushing and resisting the body against itself. So that might be something to think about next time you're going to do something difficult. Have a Bruce Lee moment, maybe. Anyway, just a thought. Next. So back to the science. So the next thing these lovely scientists found out is that if you cross your arms, you will be more persistent. So I'm not going to do it too much because I've got a mic on, obviously, but if you cross your arms, it actually gives you a degree of persistence. Obviously the mind-body connection here, there's something about doing this that means, yes, we're going to persist at this, we're going to continue at this. It's obviously way back when we were amoeba, something that connects the two. So if you need to feel that you're going to dig your heels in a little bit, then yeah, absolutely cross your arms. Now, what I would say is some books on body language actually say, oh, crossing your arms, bad. Now, that may well be the case. I actually do cross my arms a lot, but I don't kind of do this. I kind of do it in a more open way. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you using your body to get what you want, and in this case, it's using your body to be persistent. So it's not a defensive move in this situation. Okay, the other thing I would say is if you see a woman with her arms crossed, she's probably not being defensive. She's digging those heels in and going for the long haul, really. I suppose what we could then do is we can start to combine the moves. I'm going to turn into Night Fever in a minute, aren't I? So if you tense up and then cross your arms, you can probably have a great deal of willpower and a huge amount of persistence at the same time. We're actually going here, aren't we? We're starting to drift into Never Never Land. But seriously, if you have to get something done and you need to make sure that you are going to be consistent and persistent, try crossing your arms. It could work for you. That's what the science says. People often misunderstand me when I tell them I get some of my best ideas on my back. Let me explain. So if crossing your arms doesn't help you solve that particular problem and you've kept at it for a little while, then try lying down. Now then, the same research study also had subjects solve anagrams while lying on their backs, and the results were surprising. They solved them much faster. Now, since anagrams are a type of insight problem, lying down can help you be creative, so find creative solutions. So think of someone like Sherlock Holmes lying on his chaise lounge working on a particularly perplexing case. Now, I'm enjoying lying down here and I'm having a really good think about something. And I suppose the logical extension of these 2 points is that if you're lying on your back with your arms crossed, it'll be creative and you can stick at it for a long time. Obviously, there's no proof to back that up yet. So yeah, lying on your back, lying down, taking just a few minutes, potentially can help you be much more creative. So I'm going to have a think. Still thinking. Yeah, really, I'm thinking. I can do science, so it seems. Right, okay, so gestures and understanding. So if someone is listening hard, or maybe if you're listening hard, what people tend to do is they tend to do something like that. Oh, my acting skills are amazing. Okay. Or if they're thinking, you will see people go, like that. So guess what? If you do, you may well think much harder and listen much better. It's about taking what we do naturally, what we actually do when we're doing these things, but applying them consciously to our bodies so that they actually affect our minds. Now, if you actually use your hands when talking, it turns out that you can learn a lot more quickly and a lot more effectively. Yes, actually waggling your hands in a given situation, if you're having a conversation and you need to learn something, is actually really good for indicating to the brain you want to learn this thing, understand this thing, and you want to do it quickly. So there was an experiment where children were encouraged to use gestures when they were learning things. So they weren't just sat down reading or sat down writing and concentrating, all of which would have been good, but they were actually encouraged to use their hands and to gesture expressively during these learning periods. And it was found out that they learnt much quicker and they learnt much more comprehensively than the children that didn't. So again, this mind-body connection is totally fascinating. So what we need to think about is what you would do naturally in a given situation that is a positive body behaviour, and apply it more and more all of the time. And actually you will become Superwoman, Wonder Woman, Superwoman, Wonder Woman. So yeah, gesture for understanding. If you're going to be doing something that you would do naturally, make a point of doing it deliberately. It will actually help the mind achieve the results you desire.
Oh, hi there. So, experts say that napping is good for performance, and I'm all with that, absolutely. So the scientists say that if you take a 10-minute nap, that is the best period of time, it can really improve your performance. 5 minutes gives you half the benefit, which I suppose makes sense really. Now, if you nap for longer than that, you'll get into a deeper sleep potentially, and that will leave you groggy and your ideas and inspiration may well be more difficult to focus on. So if napping is good, I'm all for that, though how you do that during the middle of a busy day in your work environment, I'm not exactly sure. But just to give you an example, Winston Churchill, good old Prime Minister during the Second World War, he took a nap every afternoon. Unfortunately, early on, he was interrupted every day because guess what? He's the Prime Minister during the war. So he had to redefine what you should disturb him for, which I believe was the armed invasion of the British Isles. So from then on, he obviously didn't get disturbed every afternoon. Kennedy used to take a nap, and I think sometimes Marilyn was in the building too. So I'm saying nothing more about that. And indeed, Margaret Thatcher, she was renowned for needing very little sleep. But did you know the headrests in her limos were positioned so she could take a 5-10 minute nap between meetings on the way, on the journey? So if it's good enough for them, it's certainly good enough for me. And it may well help you if you're on a sticky problem and you want to increase your performance. So that's really good news because I'm going back to sleep. Night. No, you can go now. Night.
Smile. Okay, we mentioned it earlier. A smile is hugely powerful because yes, if you smile at someone, they will feel much happier and much more comfortable. And actually smiling, it distracts the body, it changes the body, it tricks the body into thinking all sorts of really good stuff. So smiling is hugely important. We all smile at babies and dogs and children and our loved ones. We do it instinctively and we do it automatically. A smile is a huge part of human communication, and we do it when we are happy, we do it when we're about to laugh, and we do it when we're feeling content and we're feeling relaxed. So guess what? If we actually put a big cheesy grin on our face, we can trick the body into thinking we're feeling better than we are. What it will do, well, the first thing it does is if you actually grin and smile a lot, it believes there is humour taking place because you raise your mouth in that smile when humour's taking place. So if you raise your mouth in that smile, it believes humour to be taking place and therefore puts all of the actions and interactions in place to make you feel better. So that's a really good start. But what it then does, once you're smiling and you smile for a small period of time, is it releases serotonin and dopamine, those lovely feel-good hormones that we all have. So they'll make you feel an awful lot better. But the bonus is they actually reduce stress and help you sleep better. And if you are less stressful and you sleep better, guess what? You're going to be much more confident and your body's going to respond much better, and we're back in this virtuous loop. Okay, now one of the things that's really interesting to me is simply by smiling it can have a huge effect on our immune system. It can actually make our immune system stronger. So I'm going to go around with a big cheesy grin on my face for most of the day, most of the week, in fact most of my life, because actually that will help me avoid illness, tiredness and stress, though there are some situations where a large grin probably isn't the best way to go. People like to be smiled at, and if you smile at somebody, they are very likely to smile back at you, and it makes you feel good, it makes them feel good. The body is designed to recognise a smile on a face from a very long way away, from about the other end of a football pitch. So if you're like me and you even can't see in the distance, but your body will know that someone is smiling at you, and it's a really good feel-good factor for them and for you. So smile an awful lot more. If you're not going to do it for them, do it for yourself. That smile has huge mind-body connection, and it also has huge benefits both in terms of how you feel, how you present yourself, and the kind of level of work, commitment and interaction you can do on a daily, weekly, regular basis. So smiling is a hugely important tool, and I think we should smile an awful lot more. Just one watchword here which will make me very unpopular, I am sure. Please don't smile in a simpery kind of officious way. It doesn't do anybody good. What I'm talking about here is a big cheesy grin, and that really happy grin, so you are genuinely pleased to see somebody, not, so yeah. So body mind connection, you've got to smile all of the time. That's an instruction. Okay, smiling, still smiling. So we have a mind-body connection. Who knew it? So if you have enjoyed this video, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Please give me a huge thumbs up. She said waggling her arms because that's really good for our minds. And subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, and I will be annoyingly in your inbox all of the time. You can catch up with me over at the website brainybiscuit.com. Got tons of resources about confidence and business and body language and all sorts of stuff over there, so check it out, brainybiscuit.com. You can always get in touch with me on Facebook or on Instagram, and I do love to hear from you guys. So any comments or questions, leave them for me because I love to hear from you. And in the meantime, you take care and you have some fun with this, because this is actually a fun video. It can help enormously and it shouldn't be taken too seriously. So until the next time, you guys take care.